Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Nice.
Welcome to the Scotty P podcast. My name is Scotty P and I'm here today with Ethan Vistro.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Vistro.
Yes, so you're a black belt. I've seen you compete a lot recently.
Yes.
And I'm really excited to have you on. Thank you, Ethan.
Yeah, excited to be here, man.
Yeah, so I know you train at New Wave. You said you coach at Half Gracie's?
Yeah, so Half Gracie in Georgetown and John's Gym in Cedar Park. Right. I
Awesome.
teach morning classes there.
Perfect, man. You've been on a good run lately. You won
Yes,
quite a few matches at the Combat Sports Report. You just had a good match against I think Cam Hurd.
Cam Hurd, yes, sir. Yeah,
Awesome, dude. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and just kind of let the audience know like your background, how you started doing jiu-jitsu, and
so actually I started doing jiu-jitsu with my father, right? So my dad actually started doing jiu-jitsu 1997, 1998. So when I was born, he had his blue belt, right? Yeah. So like it kind of like has been around me my whole life, but he kind of stopped formally training when I was born just to be able to spend time with me. He's also going through college at the time. But as I got older, I started doing sports, and man, like I tried everything. I suck at everything with a ball, bro.
Yeah.
Can't throw or catch a ball to save my life, right? But like I can kind of run fast, and I like physical contact. So like I tried everything, sucked at everything, wanted to quit every sport that I tried except for jiu-jitsu. My dad brought me to jiu-jitsu school. I learned my first triangle choke in a gi. You know what I mean? I know I'm a no-gi guy, but I learned my first triangle choke in a gi, and I was hooked. I was like, Dad, this is what I want to do. We were watching UFC 100, and I saw Brock Lesnar beat the crap out of Frank Mir, and I'm like, Dad, I want to try that. Yeah. So that's how I got into it.
How old were you when you started?
I was like formally training 11, but it was around probably like 5 or 6 as I learned my first arm bar. Just spent a lot of time with my dad around the mat. So
Nice.
yeah, really
Yes.
cool.
When
Yeah.
you picked the right sport, I literally just watched it was man, what's his name? He's the bald boxer guy. He's like super famous on social media. I'm forgetting his name.
Tyson Fury?
No. He's man, he's it's leaving me right now. He's more of a troll. I forget. He's like he's always like, oh man, I'm forgetting it. But he was just saying, he's like, you can either spend your life learning how to manipulate another human being or putting a ball through a basket. He's like, your choice. But
I think that was Andrew Tate, bro.
That's who it was. That's who Andrew Tate. Yeah.
I have seen that clip for sure.
But it's so true. It's I used to play a lot of basketball.
Okay.
Used to play football.
Yeah.
But I quit playing basketball just because, man, there was just so much trash talking, especially when you got into the higher levels. And it's just like, what are we doing at this
It's like
point?
a lot of trash talking for like no physical contact. Yeah. It's like,
Well, and then if it got to that point where physical contact was about to be introduced, like everyone changed. You know?
sure,
It was like,
100%.
oh, we don't want to do that. It's like, oh, but you want to run your mouth.
yeah.
You know?
Naturally.
Yeah. So I just got to a point where it's just like I didn't feel like the amount of effort that I was putting into learning it was like as satisfying as martial arts always was.
Yeah.
It's like martial arts is like real physical contact and way less shit talking.
Way less shit talking, and there's like, I mean, jiu-jitsu is one of those few sports, like one-on-one individual combat sports. There is no lying to yourself. You are going to find out whether or not you can back it up on the mat.
Right.
And like somebody will be able to humble you, you know, and that's like
100%.
one of the best parts of the sport. Yeah.
Yes. That's why I really fell in love with martial arts and jiu-jitsu in general. It's just the humility, you know. It's like the better you get at basketball, the more there'd be a peanut crowd, the more people be shouting and yelling in your face.
Sure. Yeah.
And the better you get at jiu-jitsu, the kinder, nicer human beings that you meet.
Dude, it's a very supportive community. I love it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had also told me that you're. I couldn't tell if you were joking or not, but you said you're like a semi-retired pro gamer or semi-pro retired.
Actually, retired semi-pro gamer. Yeah.
Retired semi-pro gamer.
Yes, yeah. So I grew up playing a lot of like MMO RPG style games. So like started when I was a teenager playing like RuneScape. I don't know if you remember that. That's just dating me super hard. But started playing RuneScape, and then I kind of had like the hunger for more. So got into World of Warcraft through my uncle Steve, who was playing at the time. But like really fell in love with that. It was just my two loves were jiu-jitsu and playing sports, right? And gaming, and like I like sports way more, so I ended up having to give up gaming. But I got up to the point where like during COVID, because everything had shut down, wasn't able to wrestle my college wrestling season for my senior year. So I was just confined to not being able to see anybody. So it was driving me insane not to be doing anything. So I played like Arena World Championship level World of Warcraft for pretty much all of COVID. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice.
I was really into it, yeah.
And so, you told me that you're still like playing games. It's obviously not at a high level, but you've been like recently getting into Diablo.
Yeah. So I've had to like switch off. Like I definitely had that serious phase where I was like playing competitive WoW. To now I can kind of pick up and play Diablo for a couple hours, but still get what I need to do during the day and like, you know, wake up, go to sleep on time, be able to make practice in the morning, do all the things I need to be doing. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there's a recent narrative of how video games can help you in life, like whether it's be competitive in sports or help you figure out like how to do other skills at a high level. Just most recently on the Joe Rogan podcast, they were talking about surgeons who play video games have a much higher success rate on surgeries. Like they have they make less errors, and it's like a huge percentage, like 20 to 30% better margins. And so, and they kind of attribute that to hand-eye coordination and dexterity.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
And I mean, playing World of Warcraft, I mean, dude, your hands got to be able
all the hotkeys, everything. You got to be very active.
And so, you have that experience of like, has your gaming experience transitioned well into your jiu-jitsu experience? So for those of you who don't know, he's a very high-level black belt, just competed against another celebrity black belt and won in overtime. Your fundamentals are solid. I did the commentary for your Combat Sports Report.
Oh, yeah, awesome.
And I could tell that your strategy and your game planning were legit, and your fundamentals were solid. Like you didn't have any gaping holes. You were good everywhere. So I just kind of want to know your experience of how the two are tied together.
So I think the biggest thing is like in terms of tactical approach, and like one of the big reasons I love John's way of approaching the sport is he comes to everything with like a really good strategy. Like our approach is very good. So it feels like we can take control of the match from the get-go. It's the same thing when you're playing video games. Like, I know it's kind of hard to relate, but the way that things kind of shape out are like if you follow games, first-person shooters particularly, or MMOs, right? When you get to the competitive part, there's like a meta strategy, right? That could be, let's use Jiu-Jitsu for example, could be leg locks, right? That's a very meta strategy to enter the legs and use the legs to either come up and sweep or finish the submission, right? Very similar to gaming. Once you see kind of what the other opponent presents, like on paper, right, then you can use like, okay, what strategy or what is trending to work against that strategy, right, and kind of employ that tactically in a match, same way you would in a competitive game, right? So to like kind of talk on your point about surgeons having better success rate with surgeries because they're playing games, it's just keeping your brain active, even though it's not directly jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? The same way I would problem solve, like getting out of a kimura, is the same way I would problem solve going from defense back to offense, like in an arena game in World of Warcraft, right? Obviously, there's going to have to be times when I run because the enemy's got their superpower going, right? And then once that time is over, now it's my turn to go back into the game and start attacking again. Same way that they would happen in a jiu-jitsu match.
Yeah. You know, this idea of the meta is very interesting, right? It's like a very trendy word now. It's like I never heard it used before, and now a lot of people are using it. But you really learn that term from gaming.
Yes, 100%.
Right,
yeah.
And so now some of the more intellectuals of jiu-jitsu are starting to use it and introduce the idea.
Yeah.
And like just for an example of the meta, it's like, so you played World of Warcraft, a lot of arena.
Yeah.
So did I. And so I gave up a long time ago because I have an addictive brain. I would just skip everything and not do anything.
Yeah,
and
100%.
And I just had to go cold turkey and give it up. But just to the idea of meta, which is the game as a whole, right? So each match or each round in jiu-jitsu is a game.
Yeah.
And then altogether, there's a meta where over multiple games, what are the things that stand out statistically, right? So in arena, you have specific combos that are used more than others, right?
Exactly.
So like a very common combo I think would be like rogue, warlock, warrior.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Or rogue, priest, warrior.
Yep.
And you have to understand that there's going to be a lot of top tier teams using that combo, and then what are the strengths and weaknesses of that combo, and how can your specific team exploit those, et cetera, et cetera.
100%. Yeah.
And so you can use that same idea of, like, you can't just be good at arena and not understand the meta.
Exactly, 100%.
Right.
It literally is impossible to compete without understanding the meta, and that's both true for high-level gaming and high-level jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I'll talk about Rogue Priest Warrior. That's probably like the most classic, powerful
like
combo
since like World of Warcraft started. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand how that team's going to chain CCU, which is crowd control, like stun lock you, how the priest does well with the heals, and what the weakness of the healer is going to be, what the weakness of the rogue is going to be, how to avoid the warrior. They're just going to murk you, because not only is that team, you could say, like naturally synergistic and powerful, it's also these teams are masters at this combo, right? So they understand the way that it works, like to a very, like even their statistics and the way that, like I never got to this level, but my buddy would even study like how the attributes of the items would affect the skills and percentages, and how it ranks and scales. Like he would like melt my brain on. He's like, well, after this percentage, you get diminishing returns. So you only want this percentage, and then past this, it doesn't really matter. But for this one, you don't want it to be below this percentage. And I'm like, that's just the items, let alone the spells and
that's not even playing the game yet. It's not even playing the game yet. Yeah, that's just getting ready to play the game. Yeah. Yes.
So, to take that level of understanding and then apply it to jiu-jitsu. So like what you're talking about is like the leg locks and how that's a meta. Yeah. Wrestling is a meta. The different styles of stand-up is a meta. And so it's very interesting, like tying the two together.
No, yes, 100%.
And is there any like maybe like, details that you've noticed as far as like the how would I say this? The details of like the meta game and World of Warcraft per se, as opposed to the meta in jiu-jitsu, like how you come to study it, how you learn about it.
Yes, so like that actually kind of goes into how I study matches, right? So like obviously I'm going to be like, okay, maybe I watch an event like the UFC Fight Pass that just happened, right? And I'll watch all of the athletes on the card, or specifically athletes in my weight class, because that's what's working at the highest levels at my weight, right? And I'll watch guys like Ronaldo Jr. or Andy Murasaki, just examples off of this last card, right? I was watching how they were passing, right? They both happen to be from the same team. They both happen to win on very effective passing sequences, right? And those passing sequences happen to be very similar. So in my own study, I'll be like, okay, well, I've been currently working, that's something I've been working on myself, guard passing, right? So now I'll go and apply those things. I'm like, okay, their kind of guard passing is working very well across all of the Autos guys, right? They're working against the best high-level guys in the world. So I want to see how that passing works, what they do, what happens when it gets stymied, right? How they keep it moving and keep it working, right? The same way I would watch like a Rogue Priest Warrior team, right? I would see exactly how they're getting on the front foot, getting on their offense, right? What happens when they have to shift to a defensive mindset, how they can kind of make everything full circle. Because like the big thing, like especially in gaming, and then when you see athletes in jiu-jitsu and how they're related, it's you see kind of what is the most versatile skill set that has the general broad answer for every situation. Not every team composition in World of Warcraft can do that. Not every jiu-jitsu athlete has a well-rounded enough skill set to be able to handle every situation. Right? So obviously you want to be as well-rounded as possible for the task at hand. Yeah.
Right, man. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, so just humor me for a moment, but what would you play? What was your main character for this?
So my main character was actually the Death Knight in World of Warcraft, right? So we played a composition. They literally called it The Walking Dead, right? It was the Windwalker monk, Unholy Death Knight, and a priest.
And the priest.
Right.
I think I've definitely seen that combo before. So Windwalker monk, that's Windwalker. Well, what type of monk is that?
It's like a DPS monk.
Okay.
Damage dealing monk, yeah.
And then you're, I guess, more like a tank DPS?
Yes, but the way that the comp worked is that it was all setup based. So we would have to get all three of the members of the other team standing within 5 yards of each other, so that we could stun them all together and then kill them all together. Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's not.
But setting that up was very hard because obviously they know the win condition of our composition is to make everybody stand close. So we'd have to do things strategically to get them maybe behind a pillar, right? Close to something dividing them. That way they have to be kind of closer. That way we could get them all together, stun them, and that was our win condition. Just like leg locks might be a win condition, right? Against like a strong wrestler or somebody that's bad at defending leg locks.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's cool. Sweet. Yeah. So now, one of my buddies made this comment to me last week, and it kind of like triggered some of the same thoughts. But he kind of said that he attributes his ability to do well at anything he does because of gaming.
Okay.
And I think about it, and I spent a lot of time gaming. So just to tell you like a quick background on me, my dad. Not a great guy. He's not around anymore, but when he was around, he started out as he had the second best guild in EverQuest.
Oh shoot!
So they were like the
OG gamer.
Yes,
for sure.
And if you're gonna match like one, as time goes on, games get easier and easier.
For sure.
Yeah,
people figure things out, put it on YouTube. Yeah.
Right, and then also the game gets more streamlined.
Yes.
As people play it. And so like World of Warcraft is extremely streamlined, even though it does take a lot of time.
Yeah, in comparison to back to what it was when I first started playing, for sure, 100%.
Right,
yeah.
Right. But EverQuest was even like way before that, where it was like everything took forever.
Yes.
Right, and so he got his guild, I think it was like the, I forget how they ranked them, but I'm pretty sure it was based on how quickly they beat the bosses.
Yeah.
Right, so he had they got ranked second. It was called EOTD, Eye of the Deceiver.
Okay.
And he ended up meeting up with a couple other fellas, and they opened up a computer store. Like
that's
so,
yeah.
Like that's how close that guild was.
Yeah.
And so he was always playing. I started playing EverQuest, moved on to World of Warcraft. So I've been in the gaming community for a long time. And, just when he said that, I kind of thought about it too, and it's like I kind of feel the same way. So I was wondering if you felt that, or if you see any type of the way that you learn video games, or you can like apply to other things.
Yeah, I definitely find, so I think, and it's funny too, because actually John brings this up. When you kind of build on success and you find success, it's because there's confidence in the training room. That's where like success is essentially built. So you're having these mental reps playing video games that allow you to succeed, right? It's a win, but it's not the same physical tax on your body as like grappling. Like I can shoot 1,000 double legs and feel good about my double legs, but when I go home, I'm not gonna go get more reps of double legs to get better at double legs in my sleep. Right? I can mentally stimulate myself and have these like repeated wins using strategic tactics playing an arena match, right? That will kind of like get my brain to keep getting those mental reps, right? That same kind of like endorphin rush when you do something correct for the first time in like a live roll or a live match is the same kind of rush I get mentally when I win a game against a tough team or like at a high level playing World of Warcraft, right? So that kind of helps me keep my brain focused even when my body's not physically engaged. And I think that attributes to my success when I'm able to go out and move for sure.
Yeah. And then even just this idea of strategy, I've been talking a lot about it recently with my students. But just, there's more to jiu-jitsu than just techniques. And if you go
100%.
at a certain level, you can't just go into a match and, feel how a match goes or just try to do techniques. Like you have to come in with a strategy.
No, 100%. That is super correct. Yeah.
And then even the study of strategy of itself is super difficult. It's like I have a hard time explaining it.
Yeah, no, for sure. You definitely have to spend a lot of time around the sport and competing before it becomes like easy to come up with a game plan. Right, and I tell this to a bunch of my students that either I'm like coaching for the first time or getting ready for a tournament too for the first time. It's like, look, the most important thing is you sticking to your game plan essentially no matter what happens, right? Obviously, the higher level you get, those things change because you have to make adjustments. But like say I had a student compete recently at Jiu-Jitsu World League, and his big thing was like, I don't know whether I want to play guard or be on top. And I'm like, okay, the 3 weeks that we have to prepare for this tournament, let's focus on making a game plan we can stick to, right? And we're just like, okay, we committed to being on top, right? Shout out my student Jordan from John's Gym. He committed to being on top. Got his very first win as a blue belt. We've only been working together for like a month. So that was like super rewarding for him. But it was like, he finally figured out, okay, I just need to stick to a game plan no matter what, 6 minutes, and we're gonna go get it, you know? And sometimes that's all it is, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, because, a lot of times you can go in there and you have a game plan, and that takes a lot of work in of itself to come up with a game plan, and then you get in there and it just goes out the window.
Sometimes it's the lights, sometimes it's the crowd. Yeah, I know. I've definitely been on my fair share of not sticking to the game plan matches.
Right, and so, competing is a skill, right? So
for sure, 100%.
Being able to mix it up with another opponent, not let them deter you, be able to, because sometimes they'll funnel you into their thing and you have to readjust and get back to your own strategy. It could be like something as like pace. I watched one of my guys just recently get mixed up in someone else's pace. It's like, man, you're doing great, but as they started to amp it up, you amped it up with them.
Yeah.
And you want to be very careful with doing that. And on the same note, on the other side, I had a student, we were watching his opponent go against someone else, and he was doing like, I call it slow playing. I don't know what the technical term would be for it, but it's like, he would tie up like really smooth and slow, and then boom, hit a duck under.
Yeah.
You know, and people do that at open mat all the time, where they're just like, oh, and then they try to jump.
Lull you to sleep a little bit.
Yeah. And so we saw that, and we're like, okay, don't fall into the lull. Don't play his pace. No, he's going to try to explode and get a quick one on you. And he ended up just pulling guard, pulled him right into his game, and got the submission.
Nice.
But it's like, those little, points of detail, make a huge difference. Because the first guy, he kind of got lulled into it. The guy kind of came up to him, like slowly collar tie, boom, hit a duck under, took him down, and then held the points for the rest of the match.
Yeah. No, it's difficult to deal with, man.
Yeah. So, back to like gaming and strategy. Well, actually, let's just talk about like what you got going on jiu-jitsu wise. So, what kind of like do you want to accomplish in jiu-jitsu? Because to me, I've been following you very long, but it seems like you're relatively new on the stage.
Yeah.
Obviously not new, you're a black belt, but you're recently getting a lot of huge wins. So kind of like, what are your goals? What are you looking to accomplish in jiu-jitsu?
So it's actually funny. My goals have changed since I was a kid. But when I was a kid, I told myself I wanted to be Nogi champion of the world, IBJJF. Obviously, like with the scene of Nogi exploding, right? That has shifted. I think it was initially when I started doing jiu-jitsu, I wanted to fight MMA, right? So when I was done wrestling in college, get my degree, right? That was a big thing. My dad wanted me to get my education first, right? Then I was going to go fight MMA out of the initial gym that I started out of, which was Eric Paulson CSW. But it's my sophomore year, I believe. I was wrestling in college. Season was just over. I was in my dorm room watching Flow Grappling when the Flow Grappling sign was still green. So that's how long I've been doing jiu-jitsu. But I watched Gordon Ryan in Finland win ADCC. And I was like, oh, this American guy's like kind of taking it over for us. Like, that's kind of really cool. And the more and more I followed him over the next like year or two, leading up to ADCC 2019, which I got to see in person, I was like, these Americans are kind of figuring out a way to do jiu-jitsu, and I might not have to get punched in the face after I get my degree. So I'm like, this might be a pathway that I can kind of follow. So fast forward everything, being able to join the team, right, and see everything, it's like, okay, this is kind of what I want to do, right? So now, like, the whole goal has been like, how can I get to an ADCC? How can I get onto the podium at ADCC, right? And that's kind of what kick-started my competitive black belt career.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, so you trained at Eric Paulson's.
Yes.
That's like
went white to black belt there. So I grew up there as a little kid.
Dang, right from one of the original Nogi guys.
Yes.
Very cool.
Started my love for leg locks. Really. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah. Anytime I see like a leg lock he's showing, it's brutal.
Mean ones, dude. Catch wrestlers do not go easy on anything, man.
Right. Yeah, I used to know an old school guy who knew a lot of catch wrestling, and every time he described the technique, he was like, "And we destroy the ankle, and we destroy it into pieces." Like everything, all this terminology was like.
The big catch wrestling saying is 3 words: crank, rip, tear.
That's exactly
crank, rip, tear. Yeah, and I'm like, damn, those guys are hardcore.
Yeah. And then, so you said you wrestled in college as well.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All 4 years, or?
Yeah, so I wrestled all 4 years. I just didn't get to wrestle my senior year because of COVID. I ended up finishing my degree over at Vanguard University in Costa Mesa. But yeah, I got to wrestle 4 years. I was actually a lot bigger then. I wrestled 184 in college. I now compete at like 170. So like, I was
That's crazy.
thicker
You
there.
got smaller. Most people get.
Yeah, I know. It was funny. Like, I actually just caught up with my buddies at a wedding, and they were just kind of like, "You're the only person since graduating from college that got in better shape." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I'm still doing the athletics."
That's
thing,
a good thing. That's
No,
awesome.
it's a great thing. Yeah, but so wrestled about 4 years in college, and honestly, that set me up for the way no-gi is right now. That set me up so well to succeed. And it's actually funny, like talking about my wrestling background. The one thing that's helped me unlock all of the potential from having that long wrestling background is having Jason Nolf in the room.
Having Jason.
Yeah, Jason Nolf.
No. Okay. Yeah.
So like, I didn't realize what it was, but having such a high-level wrestler be creative with using his wrestling and jiu-jitsu together helped me like kind of dust off stuff from the old toolbox. Like, there's so many wrestling techniques that I thought just weren't good because they put me in bad positions for jiu-jitsu that all of a sudden I get to revisit and like add to the meta, right? Because I'm seeing how creative Jason is in the room, and I'm like, oh, I know how to do that already. I just got to dust that off and start applying it to my modern no-gi game. You know?
Right. Man, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think Eddie Bravo had said it recently, or he said it a long time ago, but he brought it up again on one of the fight companions. But he was just saying like some of the best grapplers are. I think he was also referring to MMA, but I think it's also true for no-gi.
Yeah.
But are the wrestlers that fall in love with jiu-jitsu.
100%.
Yeah, it's like, to me, a wrestler who tries to wrestle in jiu-jitsu is boring. It's just like, oh, what are you even doing here, dude? Like, because this is just my observation, but yeah, they tend to disengage a lot, and they only want to engage when they have the advantage.
For sure.
And they essentially just run away the whole time, or circle, hand fight. And the second they get a dominant grip, then they're all in. And it's just like a boring style of grappling. It's like, dude, like, let's just do this, dude. Like, step into my guard. You know what I mean? Like, I've already done half the work for you. Let's go. But when the wrestler gets in there and actually engages, regardless of having the winning entanglement, like that's when it's exciting, because y'all's hips are fantastic. Like fantastic hips, fantastic scrambles and scrimmaging. Like, that's what people want to see, and that's what I want to do in jiu-jitsu. Is like, if I'm gonna go against a wrestler, like, let's scrimmage, dude. Like, that's what I feel really good is like, just even whether I win the scrimmage or not, like, that's the most fun is when we're doing like these crazy back and forth, and it's not really a move, not really a position, but we're both dominant, trying to fight for the dominant position. Yeah, that's like the best feeling. And so I can definitely see how, like, when you guys really adapt both, like, you're not trying to just wrestle, you're not just doing jiu-jitsu, you're combining both. That's when you're gonna get like the best grappling.
No, 100%. And it's actually funny too, like, recently I've rededicated to like being on top in wrestling, because for a long time, like, as a rookie black belt, I was a guard player. I was trying to catch up to the leg lock meta as soon as I got done wrestling with college. So like, I'm gonna spend time developing like a half butterfly guard. Started with the Craig Jones and a John Danaher DVD. You know what I mean? So I was like, I gotta learn these leg entanglements, because these are how the wrestlers are getting caught.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, I already know I have a strong wrestling base. It's gonna be easy for me to get on top. So I played guard for like solid year and a half, right? Everybody's like, oh, you're really good at leg locks. You're a really good guard player. And all of a sudden I started taking everybody down again. And they're just like, oh, well, did you wrestle? And I'm like, yeah, I wrestled for a long time, man. I wrestled, right? So it's nice to kind of round out that skill set and like kind of show everybody what's up. I can do both. I'm not afraid to get in there, not afraid to play guard, not afraid to enter leg locks. All right, let's have some fun with it, you know?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you know what? It's like, now that I think about it, you won that bracket, right, at Combat Sports Report?
I did, yeah.
I didn't want to bring it up earlier. I wasn't sure. There's like so many matches, but now that you're saying that, I remember you ended up winning it. But that is one of the things I noticed. I was like, dude, his footwork standing is really good. Like, your hand fighting was good. I just assumed it was training at Danaher's. But now that you told me you have wrestling experience, it makes a lot of sense. Like, you were so confident on the feet. And that's really cool. And so, one of the things I wanted to bring up was, you brought up Jason Nolf, man. I had a reel go viral about him. I was like fucking around. But
sure.
When he did CJI, I just posted a clip of him getting beat up by the Rotolo, and I was like, I was like, it was like just some meme about like, wrestlers, we're the best grapplers, also wrestlers, and he's like getting wrecked. But I think it's badass that he's taking jiu-jitsu seriously and training with
Dude, he's good, man. Like,
I mean, I can imagine.
He gives me a handful of problems, and I've been doing this for a long time. Like, just wait, man. Don't sleep on that guy.
Yeah. I'm excited to see him compete again. Well, because, you know, it's like, it's always that question, too, of like, is he going to get deterred by not having success? But from what it sounds like, it's like he's taking it on in good.
Oh, dude, he is getting creative fast. Like, and I'm not talking about just like the guard passing, because everybody's like, oh, when the wrestlers get into it, their guard passing is usually really good. Yeah, his guard passing is really good, but dude, he's looking for submissions. Like, he's gonna finish people soon.
Nice.
It's very exciting.
And you know, it's interesting about the creativity too. Like, again, when I see wrestlers, I mean, even the guys that don't necessarily dabble too much in the jiu-jitsu, still like their creativity in the scrimmages is mind-blowing. Like, it's definitely not the same as jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like,
did you watch any of the NCAA wrestling championships by chance?
I did. Mostly highlights. I'm trying to get into it where I'm a nerd and really like understand.
For sure.
Where I'm watching like full-length matches. I haven't gotten there yet, but I follow Flow Wrestling. I try to keep up with the guys who are on the top. But because I got a buddy I deployed with, and he's all wrestling.
Okay,
so
cool. Yeah.
I kind of like talk to him a lot about
get his perspective.
The meta,
stuff
exactly.
Like that. Yeah, for sure.
And it's back to my original point, was just the creativity, like funk wrestling and how it applies. And I can imagine that Nolf probably has like some crazy scrambles that he can do. Like, I'll be engaging with a wrestler, and it's like some of the ways that they like nullify me is like, it's like stuff I've just never seen before. It's like, I didn't think that this grip somehow like prevents me from
finishing a single leg or anything. Just sign up.
I was just watching B Team and how they're like countering a single leg by posting on the armpit.
Yep.
They're like, doing like this, and then just running them down. And it's like, now that I've seen it, it's obvious. But before that, I'd never really seen that before.
No, it's actually funny too. And like, wrestling coaches always use like ridiculous analogies to explain shit to their athletes. So like, my first college wrestling coach did something very similar to what you're talking about. Like, when you're running down a single to post in the armpit, we used to post in like the collarbone, right? And it's funny, like, I don't know if you're a Star Trek nerd or anything.
I know a little bit.
But my first college wrestling coach at Benedictine College in Kansas, huge Star Trek nerd. So he's like, just pretend you're a Vulcan and Vulcan death grip them in the neck when you're running them down at the single leg. And that is something I will never forget. Because now every time I get chest height, I'm like, oh, Vulcan death grip in the throat. Run them down in a single leg. And it works. It's one of those things that just stayed with me, you know?
High single, and then you're just like straight up putting your...
If I get my chest higher than your chest, if I can post in your throat, you're not going to be able to bring your head up because I have one of your legs off balance. Yeah.
And you're just running them down.
Running them down,
Dang, I'm going to use that, dude.
Yeah.
Because I do that a lot as well, the V across the neck. When I started training MMA.
And super useful in MMA.
Right, and he would just say, he's like, hey, as long as you're not squeezing the throat, this is legal. So I do it all the time. Like, someone's trying to sit up from guard, I just go V to the neck. Fuck the chest, just V to the neck.
It's great.
People get so frustrated by it, but it's like, it's legal.
Oh, that's my favorite from the split squat. When they try to invert underneath you, you throat post. That's my favorite way to stop the inversion.
Yes. Very nice, dude. And then so, another thing I wanted to ask your opinion about, since you're a wrestler. So have you heard the news with Craig Jones going against...
I did. I spent a lot of time looking up stuff about that yesterday.
So what are your initial thoughts on it?
There's got to be some sort of no leg lock clause in the match.
Right.
Right. Like, I feel like that's the only thing. Other than that, I think you just give Gable the time to prepare. But if there's like a special rule against leg locks or like only straight ankle locks or something, I think that would be really interesting. Because Gable's a massive man. And he's a very, very talented athlete. I think it's going to be hard to catch him in an armbar triangle.
Right,
Right, obviously getting your back taken's a little bit different, but like, Craig's definitely a lot smaller than Gable, and Gable's got horsepower, man. Yeah, that guy's a freaking unit. I was so surprised he lost in the finals at NCAAs.
Man.
Yeah.
I thought it was, it's funny because he dropped it on April Fool's, so I was like, there's no way
No,
this is
exactly, right? Like, I had so many, you have no idea, like, I had so many people in the jiu-jitsu community text me, they're like, is this real? And I'm like, couldn't tell you, buddy. I do want to see it, but I could not tell you if this is actually going to happen or not. So I am very excited about that. I do want to see the rules surrounding the match. I wonder if it's going to be like 3 5-minute rounds, because I want to see how Gable trains for it too. You know, right? I would love to see a guy of that caliber wrestling at heavyweight make a transition to jiu-jitsu, because I don't know, like, there's not too many people that could deal with that if you actually learn how to pass guard. Like, he's such a phenomenal athlete.
Right. Yeah, so and there's still like not a lot of certainty on what he plans to do with his career. I know he's been mixing it up, like talking about possibly MMA, but it's not for sure. I know he's been training with John Jones and who else was it? It was another big guy. It was John Jones, Gable, and...
Dude, I think it was Gordon, man. Yeah, I think it was Gordon, man.
Yeah, it was Gordon, John Jones, and Gable.
I remember seeing that. I was like, that's a pretty heavy trio, dude. Yeah.
Goats from 3 different combat sports.
I know, for real, dude. It's crazy. Yeah.
Man, yeah. So, very interesting to see what he does with his career, because it's like kind of known in wrestling, right? It's like unless you're doing like Olympics, there's not really anything
very difficult.
Left after college, right?
Right. And he absolutely could make another run at an Olympic team if he wanted to. I think that's really where his head's at. So, I personally, if it were me and I was just off of like a loss in the national finals, I'd be out there with something to prove. So I would like to see him return to wrestling, but it'll be interesting to see what route he takes. Yeah.
Has he medaled at? I think he did medal, but has he won gold at the Olympics yet?
Yeah. So he won. He won gold in the 2021 Olympics, right? And like off a crazy takedown, bro. That was a match he probably should have lost, to be completely honest. But he scored with something like 5 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, I think I did see that.
It was crazy, man. It was one of the most insane things. And for a heavyweight to move that fast, like, so impressive.
When he watches matches, he seems like levels faster than everyone else.
For sure. He's a guy that weighs like 260 pounds and moves like I do. It's insane, man. Yeah.
Man, yeah, very cool. And then so... I've been geeking out about the wrestling thing, and then my buddy told me that the Olympics is going to be in LA, so that he was like, dude, we got to go watch wrestling in LA. He's like, because we'll never get to do it again, or at least not for a long time.
For sure,
so, he was like, dude, 2028, LA, let's go.
As soon as I see those tickets for sale, I'm going to buy it. I mean, like, I'm not from LA, but I'm from a suburb in LA called Rolling Heights. So, like, for the Olympics to me in my backyard, I can't miss this opportunity.
Right.
It's going to be cool.
Dude, I'm definitely going to try to be there too. Because it's like, that's going to be the place to be. You know, kind of like
for sure.
CGI too, but it's going to be, 10x that.
Yeah.
Or a CGI one, I mean. Very interesting. And so, his New Wave's putting a team together for CGI too, right?
Putting a team together, yes.
Man.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so excited for that, dude. Like, so I went to the first CGI.
Okay.
And, man, and I had a chance to go backstage too, and I just didn't think to ask. And then he told me afterwards, he was like,
done it, bro. Yeah,
dude, he was like,
that'd been really cool.
I had a connection, and I saw him, and I was like, oh, should I try to use my connect to get in there? But I was just like, nah, I don't want to bother him. He's busy. And then later on, he was like, I saw him at ADCC. He was like, oh, did you go to CGI? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, dude, why'd you tell me, bro? I'd have got you backstage. I was like, no.
Yeah.
But I got a little girl on the way, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it this time. I'm going to try my best.
No, that's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's cool.
But I'm going to try to make it. Just because, man, a lot of people are shitting on him about, like, how he's running it, how he, like, changed it up. And I think it's still a milli, right? But it's just split between 5 people.
I mean, I honestly, I would like them to see it go between the like bracket format and this team format, right? Like maybe every other year or something like that. Because the one thing that I think is really cool, and like I think that they're really intriguing for doing, is they're bringing, going back to like the wrestling point, they're bringing the same atmosphere as like a college dual meet, right? If you watch like Penn State versus Iowa or Oklahoma State versus Iowa, you see both the schools lined up against each other, center mat, spotlight, and just a arena of roaring people. That's what we want to do for jiu-jitsu. That's what's going to make it a mainstream sport. So to have 2 schools go head-to-head like that and a big crowd of people, 1 mat in the pit, it's going to be sick. I think it's going to bring a different level of energy to the sport for sure. Right? And that's what I think. That's why I like seeing that format. I know a lot of people are like, oh, we want to see the tournament, this and that. And like, I do. I also want to see the tournament. But I mean, like, that also leaves place for ADCC. Right. ADCC can be the tournament, they could be the dual meet thing, right? I just like seeing a different format, and it's going to be really cool to see. Like, I've been reading about the wild cards. I think the wild cards are really intriguing. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be a really good show.
Yeah. No, I agree too, dude. And it's like, you know, it answers the question that we all want to see, which is like,
who's the best team?
Who's the best team? You know? You know, because like when you really like look at it, man, it's really hard to say. It's like, you know, probably like pound for pound, you could say that New Wave's definitely number one, but at the same time, like across, if you look, it depends on what stats you're looking at, right? Because man, Autos does really well.
Yeah.
What's the other? I know there's B Team obviously, but there's one other really solid team. I know Padigo's going to be in there, and that'll be fun to see how they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like you can't argue that. You could. Autos and New Wave are like, you got, you know, it's like
Autos got some hitters, man. They got some. Those guys figure out how to show up and win when it matters.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, just be really interesting to see how y'all, because there's strategy in it too, like, because both teams are big enough that you guys have multiple people for each, you know, for each division. So it's like, you know, what athletes are you all going to use, and then even how I'm guessing it's going to be 66 versus 66, like just straight across, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it all plays out. And yeah, if you don't think it's going to be exciting, then you're not thinking it through.
No, exactly. Right.
It's going to be dope.
I think like the team that's probably the most slept on, just because like the roster spots also aren't finalized yet, that I think is going to do really well is the team from Australia.
Right.
I think those guys are going to do well, man. Yeah.
Well, they have some gnarly lighter weights. You know, they're kind of low on the big guys, but they got Levi Jones Leary. Like, dude, he can hang with the best of them.
Animal. Yeah.
So, and then I think their 77 is a beast here. I forget who it was.
I think the 77 is Levi. I think their 88's Kennard, who had
Lucas
really
Kennard.
good showing at the first CJI. So, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be very cool.
Yeah.
And then they're doing the open tournament for the 99 and plus 99. And then they got the wild card for 66. So
I want to see what they do at 66. I'm very, very curious about that.
And then 10th Planet is another team.
Yeah.
And they have such a deep pool to pull from.
For sure.
Like,
there's so many guys. Yeah, there's so many guys, right?
And they, you know, they probably have like the most out of each bracket, out of each weight class.
For sure.
You know, so
it's like hard. Like, who do you choose between PJ Barch and Andy Varela, man? Like, that's tough, bro. It's really tough. They're both really good at different things. Yeah.
100%. So yeah, I'm super excited for that. So to kind of wrap this thing up, you know, you're a black belt head coach. I don't know if you're a head coach, but you're a coach.
Yes, sir.
You lead classes. You're still super young. Man, you found, you know, success in doing what you love to do. Of course. Balancing what everyone loves to do, which is gaming. You know, most people have this mindset that you can't do both, like, oh, give up the games. You know, but you're obviously making a living doing what you love, still able to play the video games you love. So, I mean, I would say for most people, that's like the dream.
No, it is the dream, 100%. Yeah.
So I would just like to ask you, you know, what would be your piece of advice for someone looking to make that their life, like make a living doing what they love to do and still have time to dabble in video games or other things that they love to do?
So, and I think like every high-level jiu-jitsu athlete will tell you this, like there's going to be a period where it sucks, right? There's going to be a period where it feels like you're putting in hours and it's very hard to make money, right? And it feels like, oh, it's pointless. Like there's definitely times where like I drove home right before I got settled and like really built my life out here in Austin, where I'm like in my driveway, like, all right, I got to figure out how I'm going to make money from it next month. And that's a difficult thing, right? And especially if you're moving from a place like California to a new place to make your life, it's not easy, right? But it's also, you have to believe in your skill set. You have to believe that this is what you're meant here to do, right? And then just be proactive in like, okay, I'm gonna reach out to schools to see if they need somebody to teach. Or I worked on this connection with this gym owner, see if he's got any no-gi classes available in the evenings for me to teach, right? So like a big part of it's been like the guy from How Crazy Georgetown, John Simas, right? I happened to cover classes for Abraham because he was competing at the PGF the very first week that the school was open. And that was a relationship I built with him, teaching classes for a week there. I was the first instructor to teach classes there, right? And afterwards, he's like, hey, we'd love to have you. We'd love to keep making opportunities for you. And that's just one example of a relationship I built out here that has allowed me to now teach classes during the week and live my life the way I want to. So I think building connections, trying to do right by everybody you meet in the community is going to pay dividends. The good energy that you put in is going to come back to you. You just have to believe it and know there's going to be a period of time where it's difficult, but you just have to keep believing in your skill set and make sure that you're doing the right things outside of the mat.
Man.
Yeah.
You know, Gordon Ryan made a post about that recently. He was just saying that the only way to truly transcend the money problem in jiu-jitsu is the relationships that you make.
100%.
And I'll go ahead real quick to say my piece on that too is like, I'm only where I'm at now because of the people that I've met. And, you know, it's like one of those things. You know, it's funny, like when you answer questions, like they try to do like psyche evals and they ask you like, is it the people you know or hard work? And you know the right answer is supposed to be hard work because they don't want you to think that someone else was giving a handout. But it really is a combination of...
No, it's a healthy combination. I wouldn't say it's one more than the other because obviously like you have to put in the work and have the merit to be able to do what you do and instruct and like have a reputation and stuff. But it's also important to get your foot in the door with the right people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, I talk about this, I try to tell this to my guys, especially competitors, because I kind of went through the same thing where it's like, you want to be a competitor, you want to be a world champion. And then sometimes what it turns into is you show up every day and you feel like you're in a dungeon and you're pacing back and forth, you know, because you know, you want to get there early, you're warming up, you got to do all these extra reps and it becomes super serious. But then you know, develop super serious face all the time and you're, you know, instead of mingling with people, you're, you know, doing your extra reps or you're stretching and you're preparing your mind, which you know, you kind of got to do, especially when you're training multiple times a day, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the things I learned is that you have to mingle. You got to talk to people because these are the people that are going to support you when you're competing. And so I try to tell my guys, like, you know, make sure that you're taking the time with the people that don't train here every day. Like, you know, we can get caught up in competing, but without Bob who shows up on Thursdays, you know, it's like he's the guy that's going to buy your ticket. Him and his family to come watch you. It's like you got to build the relationships with people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why, like, I actually had a couple students come out to watch me this past weekend at Main Character. That was really cool. I haven't had that since I moved from California. So it was a really, really neat thing to have people come and watch from the schools that I teach out here.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. Awesome, dude. Yeah, and then, so I wanted to circle back. Usually I'll ask another advice question, but I just remembered that one of the things you wanted to kind of bring up was what really like shifted your momentum in your jiu-jitsu career was a breakup.
Yes.
And I kind of wanted to go into that, not only just because you wanted to talk about it, but that is definitely something a lot of us go through.
Yeah.
You know, for me, every time I went through a breakup, it was a level up. It was like, that was a time to put my head down and focus and level up. So yeah, I just kind of want to hear your experience with it.
So before I answer that, one of my good friends, his name's Bear, from back home, trains at Peerless Jiu-Jitsu. His advice to me that kind of resonated in my brain, that kind of helped me shift my mindset was, air quotes, she's broke, you're up. Right? That helped a lot. But no, so all kidding aside, yeah, I went through a pretty bad breakup at the beginning of 2023, right? And it was kind of like, I was really broken up about it. I thought this was going to be the girl that I was going to be with for the rest of my life, right? But things happen, you know, people change. And I was at this crossroads where I was really depressed and I was like, okay, one of two things can happen here. I can let this derail my life, right? Or I can make it something positive and be better for it. Right? So I told myself, like, I'm not going to let this derail my life. So the first thing I started doing was, I have a hard time sleeping. I'm going to go to the gym at that time. I could get stronger. I could work on something, right? Or if I have a hard time getting to sleep at night, I can go do another night class, right? Let's put some time into technique. Let's develop some skill sets that I suck at. You know what I mean? I just started taking little things that, okay, I'm lacking in this area and just filling my extra time with that. Because I mean, like, I didn't want to overload my body and brain too much, but it was also like, if not, I'm going to be this frantic wreck at home. That's right. So I just started putting in extra reps, putting in extra time, maybe working on my flexibility or strength and conditioning, right? And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, if I'm just locked in and I'm doing the right things outside of it, I'm working on getting better at my skill sets, right? One, it takes away from like the distractions of the breakup, and two, it's helping me get better and chasing my dream. So I just kind of leaned into it. I started seeing success right away at competitions, started finishing more people, right? And that led me to my first like major win as a black belt, like the very first ADCC Open ever, right? Everybody thought wrote me off, right? I had John Combs in the first round.
Oh shit!
Right, and that guy's freaking good, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right,
won a West Coast Trials against William Tackett. So you know what I mean? I knew he was going to be really good. I just watched him medal at Worlds the year prior, so I was like, okay. I was amped up. I'm like, my moments, right? This breakup has led me to this moment. How am I going to deal with it, right? Walked in, ended up heel hooking him in about a minute.
Damn.
Right? So after that, I was like, okay, like I'm doing the right things. Like this isn't so bad. And I just kind of used that to get the ball rolling. And I had a great 2023 that started into like the bigger wins of my career. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, that kind of did it. That ended up being like advice. You know?
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. Right.
Perfect. I was thinking when you were talking, I was like, she's broke, you're up, dude. That's a rash guard right there.
Yeah, I know, dude. I might put it on one, dude, for real. Yeah.
Because that's like, you know, I also went through a breakup, especially, I wouldn't say it was because of jiu-jitsu, but I was just so focused on jiu-jitsu and creating content. I just wasn't in the space to get married and start a family.
For sure.
And, you know, I just felt like I had a lot left to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, she wanted me to get a regular job. Mm-hmm. She wanted me to wife her up and start having kids.
That's tough, bro. Yeah.
And yeah, I just wasn't mentally in that space. Like just in my mind, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And it's so funny now. I was like, now I'm totally in that space. I'm, you know, I can't wait to have a little kid and have more kids and stuff like that. But yeah.
Wrong time. The wrong time.
Yeah.
For sure.
I needed more maturing. I needed more time to. It's funny. It's like, you know, even though something can be right for you, you need time to go chase the other things, right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
You know how like like as a parent, they'll try to like ward you off from doing something because they know what it circles back to.
Yeah.
But we need to go experience that for ourselves 100%. In order to get where we need to be.
Yeah. There's some mistakes you just have to make, man.
Right.
There's some mistakes, for sure. Yeah.
So man, that's really cool, and I think people will definitely relate to that because we all go through breakups.
No, definitely. Yeah, like everybody asks me what supplements I take, and I always tell them it's caffeine and a little bit of heartbreak.
Yeah, caffeine.
Yeah, good for the soul, good for your jiu-jitsu.
Right. Yeah, man. I think, what is they call it, the villain arc?
Yeah,
it's like you go through a breakup.
Villain arc is pretty epic sometimes. Yeah,
and it's just like it's a real archetype.
It is
that we all experience.
Yeah. I feel like every young man goes through that at least once. Yeah, for sure.
100%. So that pretty much answers the advice on like, you know, how to bounce back from a hard heartbreak.
It could be heartbreak. It could be a devastating loss in a jiu-jitsu match. You kind of deal with those things very similarly. Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Just get back to it. Get back on the horse. Grind. 100%. Man. And so, just real quick, and then we'll do some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
How do you have any advice for balancing gaming and jiu-jitsu, or just gaming and the things that you have to do in life? Like, I had to quit cold turkey. I just couldn't do it. And, you know, it's funny. I quit for a while, and then my buddies convinced me to get back on it. And the next thing I know, I was staying up till 4 a.m. You know, killing wolves with the boys.
For sure. No, it's a difficult balance. So one of my favorite streamers on Twitch that plays World of Warcraft is somebody I've been following since I was like a teenager, right? But the way that he kind of talked about his life balance actually really helped me. So the way he talked about it is in World of Warcraft, right? For a lot of like factions to get different rewards, you have to build reputation, right? And in order to build that reputation, it might take weeks or months, but you have to do these daily quests that reset every 24 hours. Right? So that's kind of what he started doing with like his gym and exercise life and eating right. He called that doing his dailies, like his daily quests, right? So that's kind of how I think about it too, right? There's this set of things that I have to do daily, right? It's maybe 2 sets of training, right? Different sessions. Or I have to go do strength and conditioning today, right? Or I have to make sure to get this amount of calories to support my weight gain, right? Those are the things in my mental checklist that are like my daily quests that I have to get done before I have my leisure time, right? And then when I have my leisure time, right? What helps me not stay up till 4 a.m. is I set a timer on my phone. I'm like, I get 2 hours. When that goes off, I go to bed. Screen's off, you know? But that's kind of how I maintain the balance,
Heck yeah. So just, you're essentially putting a little more intention into the time that you're allowed to play by setting the alarm, and then more intention into the things you gotta do throughout the day. So instead of just saying, I gotta do these things, you're doing it with more intention of pretty much creating like a structure to it so that you know.
Right, because I'm very much like a no stone unturned kind of guy. I want to make sure in my preparation for something, right, if I have 6 weeks, 5 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, I'm doing everything I possibly can to put myself in the best position for success, right? It's a big reason why I moved my whole life from California to Texas, because I'm like, there's this lingering feeling after East Coast Trials 2023, where I'm like, there's a little bit more out there, right? I have to see what the guys at Danahers are doing, right? right? Luckily, I knew Dominic, and I got to compete against Taza earlier in the year. So they're like, oh, please come train, come stay for a little bit, check it out. You know what I mean? And like when I saw that, I was like, okay, there is more. I do have to figure this out. There's more learning to be done. Right? But knowing that, seeing that it's out there and then being a part of it is what's really gave me the confidence to go compete at the highest level. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really good buddies with Taza.
Yeah, love that guy.
Yeah. He's so charismatic.
Dude, he's so positive too.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
He's always singing.
Yep.
Yeah. Good guy.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. So yeah, we can end this pod. I'll do a couple of rapid fire questions.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Just off the top of your head.
Cool.
What is your best submission?
Best submission? The guillotine.
Guillotine?
The guillotine.
Dang.
Yeah.
Man,
so I wrestled
cool.
a lot out of the front headlock when I was a kid.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. All right, guillotine from the wrestling. Yeah. That makes sense.
Everybody thinks it's some sort of leg lock.
Yeah, that's
the
what I was
guillotine.
expecting.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. And guillotines are one of those things that it's like, I don't know if you categorize it as high percentage, because you can miss it a lot. Or okay, I would say it is high percentage, but it's high risk.
It is very high risk. Yes.
You're on bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not one that you see a whole lot at the highest levels.
Yeah.
And as I say that, I mean, Kanan Dort got 2 guillotines at ADCC, so he brought it back. But like you were saying, most people like try to spend their time working, leg locks or back takes or Kimura trap. But yeah, my point being is that, man, if you have a good guillotine, dude, man, they are brutal. Like when you have a good head and arm,
that's right.
You can just drain people's energy so well.
Yeah.
I've gone against some guys that I just could not break their grip on a head and arm, and they just sapped all my energy.
Yeah. No, and it's like the one submission that works on people regardless of their size. I have not found that there's a guy too big for me to guillotine. Right?
Really?
Yeah.
Man, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I would usually advise away from guillotines on thick neck guys, but I've been finished with guillotines, so it's like one of those things where it's like it's hard to finish them, but they can be finished.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Sweet. Then it's funny, the last guy that finished me with a guillotine was a wrestler too.
It's because just years of control, man. It's already a strong controlling position. You add a submission to it. Like I tell people all the time, like wrestling for jiu-jitsu is kind of cheating. Because you could beat my leg and my hands and my hips, but I still have a choke. Where in wrestling, it's just your head, your hands, your hips, right? You have an added layer, head, hands, hip choke, right?
Damn.
Yeah.
All right, explain that to me again.
Right, when you wrestle, right, your first line of defense is your head, your second line of defense is your hands, and your last line of defense is your hips. Right. When you do jiu-jitsu, right, it's your hands, right? It's your head, your hands, your hips, and then the threat of the choke. If they beat your hips, there's always the opportunity to pull guard.
Oh, yeah.
So you have that fourth layer of defense.
Very cool.
So there's my teammates specifically hate me for it, but they'll be like, I got so into your legs, I thought I was gonna finally take you down, and then they end up in close guard with the guillotine.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so now, I don't know if it's different or not, but your favorite submission?
My favorite submission? I'm learning to like taking the back and finishing on the back. So actually, it was my first time to get a high-level competition win finishing on the back against Cam Hurd this past weekend. It felt really good. That guy's also a very accomplished wrestler, Division I wrestler.
Oh, dang, I didn't
so
know
that was really cool, right? Put in a lot of work with Jason Nolf to get ready for that, and it showed dividends. In overtime, I was able to get a takedown. Very, very hard guy to take down. Got to the back right away and got my first finish on the back in high-level competition.
And that boy is jacked, dude.
Oh my God. Bro, the whole time at weigh-ins, I'm all like, dude, this dude's built like a freaking unit, man. Yeah. Super nice guy.
I saw his face off.
For sure.
What are they doing?
I was
Open weight or what?
straight up, I'm like, I should have worn a tank top or something, man. I'm like, damn, I don't look big enough, bro. Fuck.
This was funny. Snap.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. What was your spirit animal? It can be your spirit animal, your fight animal, whatever you feel about.
My spirit animal? That's a good one. I would probably say a tiger, dude. Big cats kind of stalk their prey. That's kind of the same thing I do when I'm training, man. When I'm training, I'm looking to get to a good position, but at any given moment, the reason they call me the sniper is I can find a submission from anywhere. Could be a leg lock, could be a guillotine, could be a back take, could be a quick takedown, right? I don't like to be in boring matches, and I like that quick. Yeah.
Heck yeah, dude. Man, that's cool. Sweet. Man, I think that's all I really got for you, dude. Man, this has been a great podcast.
Cool, dude. Yeah, super excited about it.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. And thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you.
Have you guys next time.
Awesome.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.